Okay, my dear friends, it's time to put Maul Shadow Lord to the test. As promised a few weeks ago, we're going to be doing a Star Wars animation tier list. And no, I'm not going to be swayed by recency bias.
It's not the Jedi way.
There seems to be a very common trend with rankings videos, where the most recent project is often bolstered up just because it's fresh in people's minds. Maul Shadow Lord was great, but I'm going to be fair and honest. And this video might have some hot takes. The nature of having subjective opinions about art inevitably means that we're not always going to agree. And in the Star Wars fandom, I mean, that's amplified by 100. We're notorious for having disagreements, but there is so much that connects us. So even if you don't always agree with what I say, I hope you guys can feel my passion. And by the way, my friends, before we dive into it, I just want to wish you all a very happy Star Wars Day. Today is May the 4th, and whether you're celebrating in a more traditional style by watching a Star Wars movie marathon, that's what people did when I was a kid, or rewatching your favorite shows, live action or animated, or whether you spent a bit too much money on merch, I hope you're having an awesome day, and please know that the Force will be with you, always. But no more jibber jabber, my friends. Shall we dive into it?
This is where the fun begins.
I was originally going to do one of those viral style tier lists, where at the top you have S, the best of, and at the bottom you have the worst. And I did do that for the live action projects after Round All Season 2, but for this one, my friends, I'm going to do more of a traditional ranking video. I'm just going to rank the Star Wars animated projects from best to worst. And because Maul Shadow Lord is fresh in everyone's minds, I do urge you to go and check out my breakdown review of the final 2 episodes of Season 1. Those were very intense. It was such an action-packed finale with so many cool lightsaber fights, where we finally got to see Darth Vader at his peak, 1 year after Revenge of the Sith, fighting Maul. And did you notice, guys, he didn't even have to say a word. It was pure aura, as the kids would say. And I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, so I do just want to preface by saying that I did enjoy Maul Shadow Lord, but was it good enough to become my favourite animated Star Wars show? I think by the end of Season 2, it's definitely a contender for a top 2 spot. I'm someone who loves the criminal underworld. I enjoyed Solo: A Star Wars Story, I love the Kira comics, even the stuff with the Knights of Ren connections, and Dryden Voss is and was a badass. So what's to come in the next season is right up my alley, especially now that Devon is turning to the dark side. Did you notice the change of colour in her eyes? I genuinely believe it's about to get even better. In terms of this first season though, my favourite parts were the intimidation of the Inquisitors, the visuals of the lightsaber duels, and of course, Darth Vader doing what Vader does best, right at the end. But where does it rank at the moment? Does it stand a chance to be number 1? I do love me some dark side, but I'm still gonna give my number 1 spot in 2026 to the masterpiece that is Star Wars Rebels. And I'm considering every season of all of these shows. I'm not gonna divide them. Every time I bring up Rebels, there's always people who say, well, what about Season 1? Honestly, maybe another hot take. Season 1 is pretty decent. With hindsight, it introduced the characters really well, the different members of the Ghost Crew, the way that Obi-Wan's Post-Order 66 message sets a tone of hope, Kanan's personal struggles, and even the introduction of a young Ezra. When you compare those early episodes to where he ends up in Season 4, I mean, that's just an incredible journey. From a Lothrat to a Jedi Knight who is a hero of Lothal, saves his friends, and stands up to Grand Admiral Thrawn, even allowing himself to be propelled into the unknown. And that's just Ezra. I could break down Kanan, Hera, Sabine, even some of the lesser characters, for hours and hours. To me, it's such a comfort show, with such a great message of hope and found family, and it's the one I keep coming back to. After a long day, if I'm chilling and I just want to put something on, more often than not, aside from episodes 1 to 6, I'll just put on one of my favourite episodes of Rebels, and I'm transported to, I suppose you could say, a happy place. So for me, Star Wars Rebels, no ifs, ands or buts. Some people might say that's the most crazy thing I've ever said, but that story, those characters, the way it was executed, every big character death, even the way cameos were introduced, to me it's just a brilliant story, and the pinnacle of Lucasfilm animation. Even if the animated style is a bit more infantile than the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch, the show is so great across the board, you begin not to notice it, and you might even argue it's part of its charm. Next up, my friends, on balance, across the various seasons, depending on my mood, I either put the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch. And I'm just talking about the Filoni 3D Clone Wars, because for this tier list, we're just talking about modern canon, so I'm not going to talk about Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, or Ewoks, or droids. We're just talking about established canon. And so for the 3D show, again something of a hot take, everyone loves season 7, I'm also a huge defender of seasons 5 and 6. Those two are the most impactful seasons of the entire thing. As for The Bad Batch, I think it's safe to say that from day one, I've been the biggest defender of the show of anyone on Star Wars YouTube. The amount of videos I made on Omega, different theories to do with her backstory, cloning theories, we went deep into the Kaminoans, and from start to finish with Omega really as the protagonist, it's a beautiful story of the clones. It did so much to humanize them. If I had to make a criticism, there was a bit of a lull in the second season about halfway through, but it quickly picks back up, and season 3 was absolutely insane. Especially the last episode with that epilogue. A grown-up Omega having to say goodbye to Hunter. That really pulled on our heartstrings. Omega wants to join the rebellion, and their little girl is all grown up. And on a good day, if I'm feeling generous and putting The Bad Batch on my number 2 spot, the season 3 finale is right up there with the Rebels epilogue. And that's really saying something, because to me, Rebels season 4 is pretty sacred. Next up, my friends, I was gonna put more Shadow Lord, but I think the show that for me gets the edge over it is Tales of the Jedi Season 1. And the reason I say Season 1 is because at some point, I do think there is going to be a follow-up. Not another Tales of Anthology like Tales of the Empire or Tales of the Underworld, a full-on Tales of the Jedi Season 2, which by the way was officially acknowledged by Lucasfilm, but then we haven't heard an update for it since. But in the first season, the way Dooku was handled was great, and as a Yaddle fan, despite her death, Dave Filoni, I can't believe you did that. It was a dramatic way to bring the character back into the fold, after being neglected for years. The question was, in Star Wars canon, what happened to Yaddle after the Phantom Menace? Because she does have a Legends death. Well, Tales of the Jedi answered that, while also giving her a pretty incredible legacy.
So many have suffered for what you call order.
So then, my friends, after Tales, I'll put more Shadow Lord. Enough said, great show. Then comes Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Underworld, which both had their moments, but let's be honest, they are pretty forgettable after you've seen them. And if you're going to call a project Tales of the Empire, you would expect more Vader, and at least a bit of Sidious. They didn't answer the bigger questions. We did get a bit of Thrawn and Pelion, but the main focus was Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee. Next up, the 2008 Clone Wars movie. And just because it's low down the list, it doesn't mean I hate it. It's actually a pretty fun watch, and a pretty decent segue into the Clone Wars series that followed it. But the animation itself has aged really weirdly. But next on the list, my friends, is Star Wars Resistance. It has its moments in the second season, but it is the weakest in terms of the lineage of the mainline Star Wars animated shows. The Clone Wars, Rebels, Resistance. And Lucasfilm expected it to be much more popular than it was. That being said, its legacy is still very much alive, in projects like Ahsoka. Alright, so now that we've done the main ones, I want to address 2 honorable mentions. Forces of Destiny, those shorts posted to YouTube a few years ago, and Young Jedi Adventures. Both shows are canon, but because they're aimed at a different audience, I don't think it's fair to put them up against the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch, so I'm just going to leave them separate. As for Visions, again, that's not canon. But those are my rankings, my friends. What are yours? How would you rank more Shadow Lord compared to all of the others? Is it your favourite Star Wars animated show? Maybe your least favourite? Somewhere in the middle? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.